In the following topic, we're going to look at information and decision support systems, and more importantly, we're going to look at the processes involved in making decisions and to solve problems, and then we're going to continue to talk about management information systems as well as various other systems. Now let's start by looking at some of our outcomes. So first of all, we need to indicate the different stages that's involved in decision making. We need to look at the importance of implementing and monitoring in problem solving. And then we're going to look at management information systems as well as the inputs and outputs. And that will guide us into going through to decision support systems as well as group support systems and executive support systems. And for each one of these systems, we're going to look at different characteristics. But before we start that, let's get an indication of what's the difference between decision making and problem solving. Now, every organization needs effective decision making skills. If you think about it, organizations, if they can't make proper decisions, it's going to influence their outcomes, and ultimately it will influence the profits that they're going to make and their ability to achieve the objectives of that particular organization. So we do find that a lot of the strategic planning and overall goals are placed within the decision-making processes of organizations. And information systems are actually one of the best tools to aid companies in coming to the right conclusions. So what is decision-making and problem solving? Now, there was actually two people involved in this process. The original phase, the decision-making section, which includes intelligence, design and choice, that was designed by Herbert Simon. And then later on, George Huber said that we can't just have decision making, we need to include problem solving, and Huber actually added implementation and monitoring. Now this is actually very important. If you were asked to explain the steps in decision making, it's important that you realize that it was developed by Herbert Simon and that it includes intelligence, design and choice, and that if we talk about problem solving, it includes the previous three steps, but it also includes the implementation and monitoring phases that was expanded by George Huber. Now, what's going to happen underneath each one of these stages? If we look at the intelligence stage, it is all the problems and opportunities that we identify and define that we want to address. So, for example, if you look at any real-world example, you can actually go and apply these 5 phases. So identify the problems, identify certain opportunities, and then you go through these steps in order to address these. If we look at the second one, the design stage, this is where we need to start to think of possible solutions. So you can start to think about ways of solving the particular problem, different solutions that might be available, and then how each of the solutions will contribute to solving your original problem that you've identified during the intelligence stage. Now, after the design stage, it's important to go and look at the solutions and then to make a choice by selecting one of the solutions that you actually want to go and implement. And then after selecting your choice, that is where we go into the problem solving phase that Huber extended, which tells us that now we need to go take our solution, put it into effect, and then lastly, we need to continuously monitor that particular solution. So is it really giving us what we suspect or what we hope it would actually give us? So evaluate it, think about it. If it doesn't work, then you go perhaps back to one of your previous decisions and you solve your problem. Now, going with decision making and problem solving, we've got different types of decisions that we need to think about. Now, these can be categorized as programmed and non-programmed decisions. Programmed decisions are usually the ones where there's rules, procedures, and various quantitative methods available. So these are typically your solutions where you've got various rules and guidelines that aid you in completing or getting to a decision. So something happens, then you look at these guidelines or you look at these rules. For example, Managers would perhaps make decisions on a daily basis, so at a certain stage it's going to become accustomed to them. They're going to know what to do if a certain situation arises. They know that they need to follow general rules and guidelines, and examples include perhaps reordering office supplies, increasing prices for products, etc. Now, on the other hand, we have non-programmed decisions. Non-programmed decisions are those decisions that are usually happening when we have unusual or exceptional situations. So something weird happens. For example, our company burns down. What now? Do we have backup facilities? Do we need to arrange new facilities, new buildings, new hardware, software, office supplies, etc.? So these are typically things that we can't really make provision for, that isn't easily quantifiable. Now, if we look at some of the information regarding non-programmed decisions, this is typically where we don't have rules, where it's new situations. These decisions are usually based on information or intuition as well as judgment. For example, if there's new technology, a firm needs to decide whether they would like to go and invest in that new technology. So what's good about these things, or what's required about these types of decisions, is it's important that you realize in your daily life, when are you going to use each one of these decisions? For example, in the morning when you wake up, you've got a certain routine. So you're going to wake up, brush your teeth, have breakfast, go to work. Non-programmed decision could include you're busy going to work, there's an accident, you can't follow your usual route, and now you need to adapt, trying to find a new solution, a new route to get to your destination. Now, programmed and non-programmed decisions actually can be further divided into three subcategories: structured decisions, unstructured decisions, and semi-structured decisions. Now you might ask, what is the difference between the two? First of all, when we talk about programmed and non-programmed, it's important to realize that one uses rules and guidelines and the other one is exceptional or unusual situations. Whereas if we look at structured, semi-structured and unstructured, this is usually where we start to look at the variables that will aid us to come to a certain conclusion. For example, if it's a structured decision, we will have all the variables that we need in order to quantitatively go and measure it and to come to a conclusion and to then generally go and get a decision. With unstructured decisions, we have situations where the variables cannot easily be measured. So it's very difficult for us to go and record and look at the variables and then to come to a decision. Semi-structured decisions are those where we've got known variables but also unknown variables. So some of it can be measured, but other parts of it can't be measured. Now, just for interest's sake, these three types was actually developed by Gorry Morton, and this is known as the Gorry Morton framework. Let's continue our discussion and talk about various approaches that can assist us in making decisions. Now, computerized decision support systems typically make use of optimization or satisficing models. Now, it's important to realize what is the difference between the different types of models that we can actually use. Now, if we look at optimization, it is to find the best possible solution that will help you to achieve your goals. So what is the best outcome? The satisficing model indicates we want to find a good solution which we are happy with, but it might not necessarily be the best solution. So which alternative solution can we use that will also assist us in getting close to our goals or objectives? Then the last one, heuristics. These are generally your rules of thumb, so it's commonly accepted guidelines or procedures. So if we know that something is going to happen, we've got an indication of what we need to do, and then we can go and follow these procedures. Heuristics are usually obtained through experience. It might be guidelines that is established in companies, so you know that you need to go and follow these types of things in order to get to your decisions and solving your problems. Now, when we talk about decision making and problem solving, it's also important to think about the various systems that we can use that will aid us in this. And this is pretty much what we're going to discuss in the next two topics. For example, we need to look at management information systems, decision support systems, group support systems, executive support systems, knowledge management systems, and various other special purpose systems. Now, each of these systems will function independently. They can send information between each other, and it's important to realize that performance will be based on your decision quality as well as your complexity and how fast you want to get to coming to your decisions. And it's nice to have this image in mind. So as soon as we start to think about the benefits of information and decision support systems, we need to realize that there are various advantages and disadvantages. Now, if we look on the positive side, the performance can be measured by our decision quality, which is usually a result of increased effectiveness, efficiency, and high productivity. So the better decisions we can make, the better our company will function. It can also relate to problem complexity. How hard is it to solve decisions? For example, if it's going to take a human too long, a system might be better to aid a human in coming to quicker decisions. And then the last one, we will get speedier decisions. Because companies work on limited time frames, it is actually very important that executives and all managers get to decisions quite quickly. Now, there's also the negative impact for information and decision support systems. Ultimately, it would require us to spend money. So we would need to perhaps go and buy new hardware and software, establish new databases, set up new networks and internet, train our personnel, get new personnel, and then to change our procedures. In the next section, we're going to continue to look at each one of the systems that we've mentioned before.